Over 300,000 planes take off and land globally during one of our face-to-face MBA sessions. This is thanks to the engineering efforts of many talented people who contributed to their design and manufacture. But once they are in the air, the work does not stop. A Boeing 737 is made up of almost 400,000 parts that over the time are subject to wear and tear, and this is where maintenance, repair and overhaul services come in. Whilst there are few companies that provide the service, let's draw your attention to one, Luftansa. The Luftansa Group is well known for its airline operations. However, there are more companies that are part of the Luftansa Group, such as Luftansa Technik, the aircraft caterer LSG Sky Chefs, or the cargo company Lufthansa Cargo. Lufthansa Technik, or LHT for short, is the biggest independent provider of maintenance, repair and overhaul services, abbreviated to MRO, to commercial aircraft. LHT overhauls and modifies complete aircraft, repairs engines and components, and offers maintenance services to airlines. LHT's main competitors are other MRO providers and increasingly OEMs. LHT is a decentralized structure and is split into four main divisions. Those divisions are divided along the main building blocks of every commercial airliner: components, engines, fuselage and wings, and landing gear. In the following, we want to have a closer look at the supply chain of LHT's landing gear division in Hamburg. The landing gear of most commercial aeroplanes consists of two main landing gears and one nose landing gear. Very large aircraft like the Airbus A380 or Boeing's jumbo jet sometimes have additional main landing gears. During its life cycle, the landing gear is subject to enormous forces. For example, a landing Airbus A380 weighs as much as 200 cars and is as fast as a NASCAR racing car. The core business of LHT's landing gear division is to repair and overhaul landing gears. Landing gears are equally important parts of any aircraft, and they must withstand enormous loads and unfavourable environmental conditions. Consequently, landing gears must be exchanged and overhauled by law every 10 years, or after a certain number of landings. LHT's landing gear division operates three sites: Los Angeles, London and Hamburg. Its headquarters are located in Hamburg, along with the corporate headquarters. The work scope of each of the three sites is slightly different. Hamburg overhauls only landing gears from Airbus aircraft, whereas London only does Boeing. LA does both, but only for the US market. The landing gear division usually holds long-term contracts with its customers. If a customer needs a landing gear overhaul, first an overhauled landing gear from stock will be shipped to the customer in order to allow for them to continue to operate. The worn landing gear will then be shipped back to one of LHT's facilities to get overhauled. This process is called forward exchange. In order to make the forward exchange process possible, LHT's landing gear division owns overhauled landing gears for several different aircraft types and in different configurations. One landing gear can be worth considerably more than €2 million and are considered assets and not inventory. The asset turnover rate is an important KPI to measure the efficiency of operations. The forward exchange process can cause some trouble. Customers are not usually very compliant with sending back the worn landing gear quickly. After they've received and installed the overhauled landing gear through the forward exchange process, they have very little motivation to ship back their old landing gear quickly. The overhaul process itself can be separated into three main phases. First, the landing gear will be disassembled and inspected. Second, the single parts will be repaired or replaced, in case they are worn beyond economical repair. And third, the landing gear will be assembled and a final inspection will be carried out. This process can take more than 30 days. Some parts represent up to 40% of the complete overhaul cost, and its availability can be crucial for the turnaround time of the overhaul process. However, the need for scientific spare parts becomes obvious only after the inspection process has been completed. Therefore, LHT owns a huge inventory of spare parts, as lead times from the OEMs are usually very long. In 90% of cases, spare parts are purchased from the OEM, who has a monopoly on the market. Every site has its own purchasing department. Lead times for most parts are around 30 days, in some cases possibly more than a year. Spare parts are usually shipped with UPS, DHL or other courier services. As mentioned, the lead times for this are on average of 30 days. However, for some parts it can take more than a year. Luckily, 90% of all spare parts needed are available from LHT's own inventory. This acts as a kind of buffer stock. Spare parts that are not available from LHT's warehouse are either extremely expensive, rarely needed, or have extremely long lead times. LHT relies on OEMs for an integral part of their supply chain, however. The OEM is the main supplier of spare parts, but also is a competitor by offering MRO services, creating a conflict of interest. If parts are worn beyond what is described in the official repair manual, LHT needs to request an approval from the OEM to repair them. This is expensive and can take months, even years, to resolve. So new parts are purchased whilst defective parts sit on shelves. One of the key differentiators is the fact that LHT has deep technical knowledge. Many parts that can be repaired at LHT would need to be replaced at other MROs. Additionally, turnaround time is reduced from less waiting time on spare parts that LHT is able to manufacture in-house. These cost about 10 to 20% of the OEM price. However, they can't manufacture every spare part, and some customers don't accept these types of parts. Approximately 8 years ago, LHT introduced lean methodologies. There is a dedicated central team and decentralized lean teams in each LHT product division. Additionally, they have a lean academy that offers training at different levels from lean basics to expert. All employees from the lean and shop floor teams receive training frequently. Additionally, technicians are trained and certified to work in different positions to balance the workload between phases. From a flight safety point of view, well-documented processes are accessible for everybody working at LHT. Compliance is checked frequently through audits. Ethical assessments, however, are not well established because it does not seem to play a big role in the industry. However, LHT is committed to not work on any military weapon-carrying aircraft, with the exception of the tanker and medical evacuation aircraft of the German Air Force. And so, we shall now recap upon the challenges that LHT come across. Firstly, once a customer has a new landing gear fitted, they take their time to send back the worn one. How can we incentivize them to return it quicker? Secondly, the OEM has a conflict of interest. They offer MRO services, but they also supply spare parts to LHT. How can we better align interests? Third and finally, LHT has a buildup of defective parts waiting for OEM approval to repair. How can they overcome this issue? And finally, we look forward to hearing your solutions to some of LHT's challenges. And so, this is not only the end of the Pecha Cooker series for supply chain, but the end of our MBA forum sessions. Thank you all. Thank you classmates for sharing so many insights. It is with mixed emotions that we say farewell to the 5x5 and share with you this final message.